I'm starting with $250 to see if I can grow my portfolio to more value than the number of subscribers on this new channel. The rules are pretty simple. Rule number 1, start with $250. In the first video last week, I lost $7, so now we only have $243 to work with. Rule number 2, I must document every trade, and that is why I'm making these videos transparently, showing every trade that I'm making as I go. And rule number 3, 1 subscriber equals $1. This means that 1 year from now, I must have more dollars in my portfolio than the number of subscribers on this YouTube channel, or I completely lose. I just started the channel and we're starting at 0 subscribers. So right now we have 0 subscribers. I have a little bit of leeway, but if I am losing my portfolio, this could become a problem quickly. And $250 is not like a ton to trade with. So let's see if I can do this challenge. I've been wanting to get better at trading for a while. I've dabbled, I've done some short-term trading, I've done some long-term trading, but I want to actually get good. Can this channel be the forcing function to make that actually happen? On to our first trade. Bitcoin looked like it was starting to roll over, but it just had fallen into a pretty good support. So I was looking for a long. You can see this white line. This shows the amount of volume happening at these price levels throughout this range. So you can see that we have this white line right here that we could also hit. That would be a good spot, I think, to long. I made my position. Okay, it's happening. It's currently getting filled and it just got filled. But this would turn out to not be a great spot because I didn't realize there was a good amount of liquidity below this price. If it's going to break this stop loss at the bottom of this candle, I feel like there's just more chance that it's going to continue down here anyways. And so, you know, this is a trade down here I'd much rather take because like I showed, there's more liquidity down here. There it is. Okay, so it got us out finally. Like I said, we didn't risk too much, so not a huge deal. And now, hopefully, maybe it takes another 15 minutes or so, but now hopefully we can actually pick up the better trade down here and long from here where all that liquidity is. But I didn't know that that liquidity would make for my best trade yet. But first, let's go through our game plan. I talked about this a bit in the last video, but we can readdress it just to kind of make sure we have our strategy down. So I'm gonna be trading Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin because I've been in crypto for a while. I like following the crypto markets. I like following Bitcoin. Bitcoin also kind of trades with more volatility than something like the S&P 500. And so I like it for that. We can make more gains on it. And then at the same time, we can use some leverage. I've been using kind of like 10x leverage to 15x leverage, depending on my position, to get even more gains when we're going into a trade. And then what we're trying to identify, we'll go back in the history just to kind of show an example, but what we're trying to identify is places where we have really good support, really good resistance to decide if we want to go long or if we want to go short. I'm willing to do either side, and we're trying to find these places. So let's just show an example here. Let's make a line here because there's a decent amount of resistance here. Maybe this would have been a place I would have liked to do a small trade. And I'm typically wanting to try to hold my trade for like a day, maybe even shorter if it was like a big move and I'm just trying to do a scalp. I haven't really decided in my strategy like when I want to do a scalp or a longer hold. I guess it kind of depends on where I think things are going. Like say I was down here, maybe I would have wanted to do a swing trade just because maybe I was bullish. Like maybe I was like, okay, this is the bottom of this range here. It's hit this, here. There's a couple times it's hit this. So there's a decent amount of resistance or support rather, that maybe we could start to do a multiple day trend upward. And obviously I didn't know this was gonna happen, but that's what planned out. But the other big thing I'm looking for is liquidations and liquidity. So I like to use this liquidation map. This is on coinglass.com. And it basically shows at these different price points how much liquidity is there to be grabbed. And so a lot of times there's traders that they either have stop losses at these points
or when the price comes to these points, they're actually liquidated. Like they're forced to close their positions because they didn't use enough margin and people are so crazy risky. And so I'm kind of looking for where is there a ton of liquidity. So right now, if I go down to 77,600, there's $2.4 billion of liquidity. So when I'm looking at the chart, I'm also looking to see, is there some liquidity that could be grabbed there that's going to force us to go down to that point? And usually I think, in my strategy at least, that's a pretty good time to jump in and go the opposite direction, because the price was kind of forced to move in an unhealthy way because of this liquidity, to where now I can jump back in and try to move in the opposite direction. So we're kind of looking for like reversals, more or less. So hopefully this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about this strategy in the comments below. And now let's get back to our best trade.
Okay, it's happening. It's happening. We're hitting those lower levels right here. You can see there's a lot more volume appearing. And if I refresh this right now has 500,000 of liquidity. We refresh, still there. So that's still there. I don't actually know how quick this updates, but 79,200. Have we hit that? It's like right here. So if we hit this first blue line, that's where I'm kind of expecting. It looks like we're about to hit it. That's where I'm expecting it should just kind of ping down a little quicker. And actually, I probably should be getting ready to long here potentially. Ooh, so close. Oh, I hit it. We're still kind of bouncing around here. If I go down to the one, oh, there it is. Boom. This is almost the spot, I think. So it's kind of bouncing. Oh, it's bouncing hard. Yeah, that's where I probably should have got in already, potentially. Oof, yeah, probably should have gotten in already. I'm not fast enough. Oh. Now I'm thinking, could I put a limit order right here? Oh man, volume, lots of volume. Okay, well that's good. That's looking like a bottom, I guess you could say. That's actually looking like a bottom. More volume. The question is, should I wait for it to try to get back here, or should I be jumping in right now? That's the hard question. I mean, this is a decent amount of volume. I think I'm going to jump in right there. Oh, that could have been a decent spot. I got in at a decent spot, almost at my blue line. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now, this is also where I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a swing long. Like, do I want to put a stop loss? Because it's very possible if I put a stop loss here, you know, how much can I lose? That's a question. I need to calculate that. Over the next several minutes, I watched my position and made sure it was good. And once it went in my direction far enough, I then put a stop loss at my break-even point so that I couldn't lose any money on this trade. And after that, this is what happened. We kind of got in around here where we have this buy, and then we sold a little bit as we went. And you can see as we went higher, we started selling, taking more and more profit until we took our final profit here. And it did continue even higher, but it was pretty good. This is our best NOAH 250 trade up to this point. We made $27 on this swing up, and we really got a good entry, kind of getting the bottom of this swing and then kind of getting the swing up. So we made some good profit this time, and we're officially in the green above $250. Yo, so I think I have a potential trade on our hands here. Let's go to the 4 hour and I'll kind of show you what's happened a little bit. Ignore all my lines. I got too many lines. You're like, don't even know what's going on. Okay, so Bitcoin has been kind of an uptrend here, and we kind of potentially have topped out here. But I kind of think we could potentially go upwards. I don't know how far. Maybe we break down here again. But in the last, you can see, 8 hours, we've had a pretty kind of tumble here. We had this big red candle, and we tapped into this bull market support band. So this is a pretty, usually in the bear market, which I think we are in, we usually stay below this. And so over the last 2 weeks, we've kind of gotten above it. And so I think this bull market for now will kind of be a little bit of a support that could keep us up a little longer. And maybe we eventually fall down, and we could do that soon. But I think it makes for a decent probability play here that this was kind of the bottom for at least a time. And so obviously it would have been better if I was able to hit this right here and go long. But I think we're at a decent spot here to try to go long again, because we've already kind of showed that maybe we bottomed for a little period. We had a nice green candle up. And you see this is kind of the top right here. This top candles here is potentially some support that we could get back above. And we were above it the last like 4 hours or so. I think this should be a decent support. And so that's why I'm thinking maybe now is a good time to go long a little bit for a swing long, to where maybe we get back to this area, at least kind of the top of the volume range here. And I've showed this before. This volume profile kind of shows the middle where there's the most volume here, and then it shows the top of the range and the bottom of the range. And potentially we are kind of settling within this, which would be kind of a bad sign that shows we could stop here and break further down. I think that's possible. But in the shorter term, I think we have a decent trade here to where we could maybe at least get back up to this, to touch this. And if we did that, that would be a 1% gain. And so that's why I think this is kind of a decent spot to go long here. And if we do 15 minute, you can see we just kind of had a bigger breakdown. And that's why I'm looking at, okay, this is kind of maybe a little bit of an unhealthy move. We kind of bottom here, come back up, bouncing around in between some of these supports. But ultimately, I think this orange line here, which is again that top of the range, could be our support that we get above. And so I'm kind of looking at a trade of, maybe this is a little, just 0.0. There's not much here. We could fill out this wick potentially, but around this region feels like a decent spot to go long. And maybe it's even something where I'm just kind of loose with it, which can be dangerous, not doing if I don't have like a stop loss, but say I'm able to get in right here. This is only a 0.2% down, which our amount of risk on our risk reward would allow this. We could have our stop loss under here somewhere. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I think it's smart for a swing trade like this to have some kind of invalidation of, if the price goes against what we're thinking, then we have to get out. And so at the bottom, where I think is probably the bottom of this kind of move that I was talking about, a 4-hour close below here will be my invalidation. So if we close on the 4-hour above there, or below this line, then basically my trade's invalidated. I'll have to get out with a loss. And at our current prices, that would mean we'd lose $13 on the size that I'm looking at, which is $1,600. So this fits within our risk ratio that we're looking at. So that's good. But it gives us a little bit more wiggle room that, I'm not sure I'm going to get the exact right entry. Like there is this low here that we could potentially jump below as well, sweep below before going higher potentially. But I also don't really want to miss it. Because we could just go higher here. We're kind of starting to bottom on this little, green, some green here. So I have a limit order. Let's place it. And you'll see it's right below. So I'm just trying to get a little better price here to see if I can get a little better price. But this is our trade, and I'll have to watch it because I'm not going to have a hard stop loss, but I need to kind of watch this to see, okay, are we going to invalidate my trade by going below the 4-hour and close there or not? And so it's something definitely to watch out for. All right, and just like that, we are in our position. It went up a little bit, came back down, and now let's hope that we get a good spot here. And it ended up being a great spot. It is a day later, and this has turned out beautifully. So you can see again, this is where I bought in right here. And we did go down below. We're getting close to my 4-hour, but it had to be a 4-hour close since this was kind of a swing long here. And we kind of bounced around, and then boom, we jetted up. We had our first sell hit where we sold, I think it was 20%. And then we just sold another like 50-ish%, something like that. And we're now near the highs here, and we still got $9 of profit. And on this trade total, we're up like $25, $26. So this is another good trade, like a 30, 40, 35% gain on my margin, so that's pretty good. We can see we are now over $300. We have made over $50 on NOAA 250. So we got to keep this streak up. This is good. So I'm looking here at the 4-hour chart and just trying to figure out, where should I take profit on the rest of my profit? Should I let this ride? We're above the bull market support band on Bitcoin, and these are the highs. We're not too far away from our highs in this range. We're like 1.5% away. So the question is, are we going to get above those, or are we going to reject around these regions and head lower? I think so. My thinking longer term about Bitcoin is I think it will head lower. We've been kind of going up in this range for a while now, and I do foresee us kind of hitting down to here, and maybe in another video I have to kind of share my thoughts around that. But I feel like we're kind of starting to peak out a little bit here on this rally for Bitcoin. So I think we're just going to go ahead, close out the position, take our trade that made us like $26, another great NOAA 250 trade, and we can then start to look for the next opportunities. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. And if you did, consider subscribing, because that makes this challenge more interesting and harder for me, because that means I have to grow my portfolio. Right now, we just made it over $300, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Had my biggest trade in this video. And something I like to do at the end of these is kind of share some learnings that I've had from the trades in the video, and hopefully those learnings will be helpful to you as well if you're trying to start your trading journey as well. And something that I think worked well in these trades that I had was these swing trades, a little bit of a longer term trade, like looking for like a day to 2 days. And my entry is a little bit sloppier, which, I find is actually a little bit easier with Bitcoin, something that moves so volatile. Like I'm learning it's really hard to get into a position, not really knowing if that's the bottom or the top. And if you have a stop loss soon after that, I just find that I hit that stop loss a lot, just because Bitcoin is just kind of just jumping up and down, so kind of erratic. And so doing a little bit more of a messy stop loss, where kind of like I did in one of the trades here, where you kind of look to a higher time frame, like the 4-hour, for invalidation of if we close below or above level, at that point I would then close. Now, the issue with this is then I am potentially taking on a little bit more risk, but I'm not going to just get stopped out on just a silly move that then kind of reverts and goes the other way, the other direction anyway. So I'm going to have to keep playing around with this in my strategy, and hopefully I'll get better at it. But I think, it's kind of like 2 ways to do it. And so I'm still kind of figuring this out. So hopefully you'll learn with me as we go through this journey. So thank you for making it to this point, and I'll see you in the next episode. And that next episode might be showing up on screen right now if it's already available.